Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining our webinar today. My name is Sandra and I'm on the marketing team here at CanadaHelps. Today I have the pleasure of presenting this webinar with List Hugessen and Woodrow Rosenbaum from Give3 Foundation. Our teams have partnered together on some key initiatives in the past, including Giving Tuesday, and I'm so happy to welcome them here today to share some tips and their knowledge with you. So what's on the agenda today? We're just going to do some brief webinar reminders, and then we're just going to dive right into what is the Great Canadian Giving Challenge and why you should get involved. And we'll be sharing some examples of some great campaigns, some 5 tips to make the most of the challenge, and wrap things up with a brief Q&A and a planning checklist at the end. So for those of you who are new to CanadaHelps, CanadaHelps is a nonprofit social enterprise focused on helping charities. We provide charities with open access to our affordable online fundraising platform and training so they can better connect with the people who support them. And for donors, we offer a one-stop shop for donating and fundraising for any registered Canadian charity online. Since 2000, over 1.7 million Canadians have donated through CanadaHelps, and together we've raised over $900 million in donations. So before we begin, we're actually going to take a moment to do a quick poll. So I'm just going to launch the poll. One moment. So it looks like the question was, as a charity, have you ever participated in the Great Canadian Giving Challenge? Looks like 60% of you said no, 23% said yes, and 18% said I'm not sure. Awesome. Thanks so much for those replies, you guys. So we're actually going to get this webinar started. I'm going to pass the controls over to Liz, and she's going to take us through it.
Thank you, Sandra. Hi, everybody. Welcome, and so glad that you were able to join us today. And we're going to talk now about what is this Great Canadian Giving Challenge. So it sounds like quite a number of you haven't participated yet, or you're not sure if you've participated, and I guess about a quarter of you already have. So yeah, this is a month-long contest that gives you, as a registered Canadian charity, a chance to win a $10,000 donation for your organization. The contest starts on June 1st, 2018, and you will automatically get 1 entry for every dollar that you receive that's donated to your organization, if those as long as those donations are coming through CanadaHelps.org or givingchallenge.ca, which is the website that's associated with the Giving Challenge. So yeah, every dollar you receive that you raise on behalf of your own charity gives you 1 chance to win the grand prize of $10,000. So the contest lasts for a month, starting on June 1st, as I mentioned, and the draw takes place on July 1st. It's a random draw, and the winning charity that gets drawn receives that $10,000 donation from us, the Give3 Foundation. So these are some of the growth results that we've seen since the start of the Great Canadian Giving Challenge. So the past 3 years, 2015, 2016, and 2017, donations increased pretty dramatically each year. And the reason for this is that donors see this as an attractive incentive to get involved and to support charities during the June timeframe. So in total, as of last year, there had been an 83% increase in donations during the month of June compared to before the contest was launched. So yes, it's inspiring giving. In 2017, that was at almost $10 million that was raised during the month. So pretty exciting numbers. The other thing that we've been able to show is that organizations that participate actively, so get involved by promoting the opportunity to their supporters, they make 79% more compared to the average organization that's not doing anything special during the month of June. So active participants raise more, and this is a big opportunity. Some have asked, and of course, it's important to note. So in 2017, the winner of the contest was the Central Alberta Humane Society, and that news was announced on July 1st of 2017. If anybody's interested, there's a really cute video on Twitter. If you go to #GivingTuesdayCA, and you can see the Humane Society Executive Director talking about the win and what they're going to do with the money. So that was fun. So we've talked a lot about the $10,000 donation prize, and yes, that would be amazing. I'm sure everybody on the webinar would love to win that prize, but that's not really the main reason to participate in the program. We did a charity survey among charities in the last couple of months, and among those that did participate last year and the last couple of years, the top reason that people were citing was that it was a great way to engage existing donors and to reach out to new donors. So again, it's an incentive to talk to your donors, to email your donors, to use social media, and use this as a way to incentivize them to get involved in supporting during the month of June. And those sentiments were also underlined by a bunch of participants from last year, and so these are just some quotes from charities that participated last year that really got a lot out of the contest, and they also underline the fact that it's an incentive to engage donors that works really well. So we're going to look at some of the campaigns, some examples, and some of the things that some charities did really well last year. So I really love this one because it's so clear and simple. It's got a really clear message, which is that you can help send a child to camp. So we found that this works really well. If you set a really clear and simple goal that a donor can relate to, it really helps in your outreach. And here's another one. This organization decided to communicate what they would do with a $10,000 donation. So this particular one was a museum, and they talked about developing a new exhibit. Again, really powerful and really simple. This organization, Action Against Hunger, chose to talk about what $10,000 could do in terms of the numbers of children. So they said $10,000 will help them treat over 200 children. Again, very clear and very direct. Finally, Interval House in Ottawa talked about what $10,000 could do for them, which was provide a woman with daily counseling for more than a year. So we really love these campaigns for their simplicity. Here's another one, an organization called the Emily Carr University that decided to run a specific project or a specific goal, and this was to build a totem pole project at one of their campuses. So again, their campaign was quite simple, and the idea was support us, and $10,000 could help us to make this project a reality. Some of the most compelling campaigns that we've seen are the ones where the charities are using multiple channels, and this theme is going to come up as Woodrow starts to talk about best practices as well. So this is the Make-A-Wish campaign, and they again had a pretty clear message. $10,000 will help grant a wish, and they made this happen across social media, their website, and all of their communications. I believe there was also an email. So it was very clear, help us win $10,000 to grant a wish. So the message here is the more different channels that you use to reach out with this message, the more chance that you're going to reach more people and get to your donors and new donors. Another theme that we've seen quite effective is just to have some fun. So particularly on social media, you see these are on the left. It's an after-school program, so they're using photographs of the kids. On the right, it's a theater program, so again, participants in the theater program saying thank you. And here's a cute one, just using a beaver and on the theme. So this was the Canada 150th birthday. It happened to be during the challenge last year, so they capitalized on the Canadian theme and had some fun with it. So I'm going to pass the presentation now over to Woodrow, and he's going to talk about some of the best practices for really the best ways to get the most out of this challenge.
Sandra. Oh, there you go. Now I'm unmuted. So I assume everybody can see my screen, and that Sandra will yell at me if that's not the case. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to talk about some of the specific tactics and best practices for getting the most out of this opportunity to engage donors. As Liz said, it's really important to look at multiple channels, and there's no one best channel for engaging donors in the Giving Channel, but email really is the best channel for engaging your donors for the Giving Challenge. We find it's really effective. That was a little humor. Email is easy to do. It's very simple to get your specific message out to the people that support you the most. And so think about your email campaign first. Would be my advice. You don't need a lot, but you want to make sure that you let your supporters know a little bit in advance of the challenge what's coming and how they can get involved. That needs to be quite close to the beginning because your donors can't take any action that qualifies until June 1st, but you do want to give them a little bit of a preview. This is often usefully can be done as part of existing communications that you have planned rather than something completely independent. But either way, give them a little bit of a heads up. Get started immediately on June 1st if you can. Make that early momentum is really important to the success of your campaign. So give your donors a very clear call to action immediately at the beginning of June with a link directly to a place that they can make a donation that qualifies. Just help me win $10,000, although that's a very compelling way to get attention, is not the best case for support. Remember to tell your supporters what you'll do if you win that $10,000. Get them thinking about the kind of impact that it could have for you. That's really what's going to be most inspiring for donors and get them to make that donation to qualify you. Email is also a really important way to keep your supporters up to date throughout the campaign. Let them know how you're doing. Remind them to share if they've already donated. Make sure that you maintain some communication throughout the month of June. Whatever your email method is, these are really good best practices, and it's best to do something that is customized to your particular circumstances and tells your particular story. That said, we are this year launching a new tool to help organizations that need some additional support in just creating a standardized email. So you will be able to, on givingchallenge.ca, create a custom email with a donate button that leads directly to an existing Giving Challenge custom donate page solely for your organization. So if you don't have a lot of capacity and you need to do something quick and easy, all you have to do is search for your organization on the website, press the button, and you'll get the code for an email that you can use in MailChimp or Constant Contact or whatever your email editor is. When you're sending that email, a clear call to action is really, really critical. Make sure you're asking your donors for the action you want them to take. Link them directly to the ability to take that action. Here are two examples of emails that we thought were really good. The call to action is right there. It includes a verb. It's very clear what's going to happen when I click that button. And your conversion rates on the donate page are going to be significantly higher if you're bringing in donors who have an intent to give. So make sure they understand that they're qualifying you by making a donation, that it's an added value to their donation and a reason to make a donation today. So although we think, I mean, email really does seem to be the really one of, if not the most important ways of getting donor engagement because it's such a targeted channel. You don't want to send an email every single day. You want to stay top of mind. And the more channels you're using, the broader your reach and your approach is going to be. And this is particularly true if you want to use the challenge as an opportunity to acquire new donors that maybe you don't have an email address for yet. So we encourage using social media throughout the month of June. Again, something right before June 1st to let people know what's coming can be very helpful to make sure that people know what to expect so that on June 1st you're not starting from zero. But again, not too far in advance because your donors can't take any useful action for the challenge until that deadline. So a couple of key points is, one is to use the givingchallenge.ca hashtag. That gets you in the conversation. It lets your donors understand that they're part of something bigger and helps to leverage the messaging around the contest. Social media you should be on every day, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Quick reminders, but always ensuring that you're asking for that action you want. Again, really important to tell your donors what you would do with the donation. The reason to give to you is because of your mission. The challenge provides an extra incentive and an urgency to do it now. So make sure that you're starting that campaign early, you're getting as much momentum as possible, and talk to your supporters and new donors throughout the month of June with that message about what you can accomplish if you win the prize. So a few tips. Here's some nice examples that we picked up from last year of messages and imagery that really were effective. Strong images are really important. Children and babies in particular are really good for inspiring people to take action, to share. In fact, some research that I was involved in another project recently showed that kids and babies were more engaging than pretty much every other image by quite a large margin. That it didn't even matter what the charitable cause was, that kids were really compelling in terms of engagement. Puppies and kittens are also really good. Happy emotions, really, all of these are really best practices. Images are very important. They really, really do a lot better than just text. And in particular, they do much better than just your logo. Using your logo as the main image is really not compelling, and you're going to find may even have a negative impact on engagement. So find some images, and I'll talk about some resources a little bit later. Find some images that you can use to help tell your story. Again, that call to action is critically important. Your call to action on social media doesn't need to be donate for every single message that you put out there. So take the opportunity of being able to communicate more frequently to mix it up a bit and ask people to share, ask people to tell their own story, get them to help move your message. And in between, you can be asking for the direct donation ask, help us win $10,000, again, with a link directly to a donation page. Every click in the sequence for donors is going to mean a lot of donors drop off. You should assume that every time a donor clicks, you're going to lose 50 to 75% of traffic. So make sure that the link they hit from your social media pages goes directly to a donate page. These are a couple of examples of donation pages that can be used. On the left, this is an example of the custom Giving Challenge donation page that you can use for your organization. On givingchallenge.ca, you can search for your organization, and you will be given a link to a page that is just for you and your charity. So you can just, if you don't have the capacity to build your own landing page or create your own place on your website where people can make that initial donation, just go and grab this landing page. It will work perfectly well. The key thing there is that you really need to drive donors with an intent to donate there. So they have to understand from the email or from the social media source that they're here to donate to you so that you will win, because you don't have these custom standardized donation pages. You can't change the text on them. They are a template, so they're really good as a means of driving someone directly to a donation place if you don't have that already. But you need to have you need to have given them that intent to give. You're not going to have an opportunity to make that sell on the page. Any of these CanadaHelps tools, though, will work to qualify for your donations for the challenge. So if you're using an existing CanadaHelps tool or your own donation page on your website that's powered by CanadaHelps, all of those methods qualify your donations for the challenge. So use what works for you and what you already have. Customize it as much as you can for the challenge. And if you need to, just grab the pre-made page from givingchallenge.ca. We have resources on our website to make it easy for you to create your own assets. So we have buttons, we have badges, we have social media images, to make it really easy for you to just create your own assets. Here's some examples of some things that organizations did last year with the assets that we made available. So just go to the site and grab what you need. It makes it very simple to include the call to action and at the same time make it unique to you. This year, we also, actually starting tonight, we will have new social media assets and shareable images ready. So these can help you to find something that helps to tell your story, a little bit of a compelling, interesting, emotional image. So we've got additional images this year to make it even easier for you to create something that tells your story, is effective and emotionally impactful without you having to go to your own graphic designer. So lots of resources and lots of ability to create stuff for social media quickly and easily. If you have the capacity, we really recommend that in addition to using some effective emotional images, sorry, my slide is not advancing. Let me try that again. There we go. If you have the capacity, a little video is a really, really effective way of driving engagement. You will find that video in social media, video on your landing pages, that they perform much better for engagement, time on site, consideration, and conversion to either donation or a click to your site. Here's an example of something Friends of Earth did last year, this cute little animation. This was on Twitter. Doing this kind of thing makes an enormous difference if you have the capacity to do so. Also, it's the kind of thing that is easily shareable. You can use it in multiple channels. You can put it on your website. You can use it in social media multiple times. One note is that if you are using video, to upload your video to Facebook and or Twitter, rather than just linking to a YouTube or a Vimeo video that, from those platforms. Native video on Facebook and Twitter will perform much better than linking to one of these other video sites. So by all means, use Vimeo, use YouTube to power your website, to engage on those channels, but upload your video directly to social channels to get a much better result. Another key thing is we really recommend that people don't forget to say thank you. We saw some great examples of that last year. The challenge is a great opportunity to engage your existing supporters. It's very clear that has been very effective. It's a good way of getting some new donors engaged, but it doesn't have to end after June 30th. When we know that incentive of the prize is really good incentive for the donors to take action. After the challenge, you have an opportunity to say thank you to everybody who supported you, to increase that engagement, to demonstrate to the networks of the people who helped you that you have a mission, that it's endorsed by their friend, and it's a really good way to carry on the benefit of this past July 1st. It's also just nice to say thank you. I've talked about some of the ways that you can use this standardized, these standardized tools, and we want to make it as easy as possible. That said, the more you can adapt your own resources, your website, your blogs, your landing pages to the Giving Challenge message, the better this is going to do for you. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Having a message wherever you're collecting online donations that explains that for this month you could qualify to win $10,000 is just going to help make that page more powerful. It also means that people who are coming to your site, who are interested in supporting you, regardless of whether they came because you talked about the challenge, it will help to make them more likely to make that donation when they're there. Also, carrying through that message through the entire engagement with donors is really important for maximizing that conversion rate, so that you're telling the story throughout June everywhere that you're engaging supporters. Again, it doesn't have to be complex. We have key messages that we know work really well. Help us win $10,000. Here's what we would do with $10,000. You could help us today. These really important calls to action are not hard to do. They're clearly best practices, and they make a big difference in the effectiveness of your campaign. Here are a couple other examples of some websites that we saw last year that were adapted for the month of June. And these are, again, very straightforward. The one on the left, these guys took our landing. We have a cover page image available for download right on givingchallenge.ca. They just took that image and put it on the top of their website for the month of June. On the right, you can see a very clear and simple call to action, and using the logo that they were able to download from our site. The logos for this year are just advanced. The logos from this year have been adapted. We had a 150 logo last year. This year it's back to the standard Giving Challenge logo, and it's all available. You can just grab it off the givingchallenge.ca site. We've seen a little bit of organizations taking advantage of their local media challenges last year, and we think this is a really underutilized opportunity. And so we really encourage people to take advantage of this, because your media in your community are going to be much more likely to pick up a story from a charity right where they live. And it's a great way of getting lots of reach for your contest. A couple of key things here are that make sure you have a story hook. So the fact that there's a contest by itself is not going to be compelling enough. But if you let your community know the kind of impact that they could have if they all got together to help you win this prize, that's a much more compelling story. That talks about impact directly in your community, and local media are going to be really interested in this. We saw some great examples last year of organizations when they made that when they tried to get some attention from local media, that they were quite successful. Here we have an example also where we have pictures of smiling kids, which we know is really compelling as well. So this is a really, really great opportunity. I think that we'd love to see more organizations out there this year sharing what they would do with a $10,000 prize, and really using this as an opportunity to talk about rallying the community in your support. What could you accomplish if everybody in your city got together to help? Here are a few other examples of some successful PR initiatives from last year's campaign. Matching funds are also, I mean, we see this in Giving Tuesday, but when you have an opportunity like the challenge, similar to Giving Tuesday, you can do a lot of extra your matching existing donations do a lot of extra work. So if you have a donor that is locked in, or you've got a regular supporter, or you have a sponsor, you can go to a key donor like that to say, look, we want to make your donation go farther. And similarly to that, what we see on Giving Tuesday of matching gifts having this additional power on Giving Tuesday, similarly, you've got a really amazing opportunity to extend the impact of those matches during the Giving Challenge. So an added incentive and another reason why now is the time. You can really maximize the benefit of your donation with a match during the month of June. It also gives you a little bit more of a time window to make that effective, and a story you can tell if you meet your objectives early in June. So here's some examples from last year of a successful matching campaign. Again, the key there being that you don't necessarily have to be looking for new money in order to find a match. Leveraging an expected gift or an existing relationship can get you really a huge extra boost during the month of June with the challenge. And a couple of other examples of organizations that took advantage of that to make their campaign go further. So remember that the purpose of for charities of this challenge is to use this $10,000 prize as a motivator for your donors. So the payoff for charities is a big June for donations, because the carrot of that prize increased your donation value over that month. So a quick checklist, and then we'll get to your questions. We had some that have already started coming in. I want to just wrap up a little bit. The Giving Challenge doesn't have to be a huge extra effort for your organization. If you do a few key things, you can make a much bigger difference for your results without having to take on a lot of extra work. So few key things to keep in mind. Get a launch email ready. You can do that now. You can have that ready to go June 1st and really make sure that you get an early start. Have a donation page. Use the givingchallenge.ca custom donate page if you need to, or adapt your existing online resources. Have that ready to go. Get the link now. That's then ready to drop into your emails, drop into social media. Have that place where people are going to take action ready. And as much as possible, if you can customize that, if you can add Giving Challenge language to it, if you can tell that story about what you'll do with the prize, the better. Have your social media assets ready. You've got all of May to do so. You can grab stuff off the givingchallenge.ca website to make it easy for you to get those images ready. You can even plan some posts right now and schedule them so that they're ready to go out. Having something right at the beginning of June and periodically throughout the month to keep people engaged. And think now about what your story is for local media, because that's going to be a huge amplifier to your campaign if you can get something out to journalists right in your city. So if you can think now about what that story is and have a release ready, May 30th, send that out, and well, either May 30th or it could be partway through your campaign if you want to kind of stage the engagement. But if you start working on that now, it shouldn't be hard to come up with that is, again, ready to go for the challenge. That local media opportunity, I really can't stress this enough. I think it's going to be really big for organizations this year, so I encourage you to take advantage of that. And what you need for that is the same thing you need for the rest of this campaign. Think about what you would do with $10,000 and tell that story in as many channels as possible. So that's it for me. I think I will hand this back over to Sandra, and we'll take some questions. Liz and I will answer those. I think Sandra's going to let us know what those questions are.
Great. Thank you so much, Woodrow. I'm just going to pull up my screen. There we go. So as Woodrow mentioned, we are going to open up the floor to some questions. Again, you can enter them into the chat log, which is on the right-hand panel under the questions tab. We're going to give you guys a few seconds to enter any questions that you may have, but I think we had a few already come in that we can start with. And our first question is, typically how many charities participate in GCGC?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute there. So
did you hear?
Yeah, sorry, I did. So this is something that we've seen this grow every year, and it's similarly to Giving Tuesday. We actually can't give a definitive number to the number of charities that we know actually participated, because you don't have to sign up, you can just do it. And so our getting an exact figure on that isn't super easy. I'll give it a couple of statistics though. We do know that last year 78,000 donors qualified, making over 83,000 qualifying donations to 10,000 qualifying charities. And that 10,000 qualifying charities was a 16% increase from the year before. So that's the total pool of eligible charities, and as I said, we've seen that growing double digits every year. Do we have another question?
Yep, there's another question that came in. Actually, there was a few questions. I'm just going to address this quickly. A few questions about whether we're going to be providing the recording and the slides after. Yep, we will absolutely be emailing them to you guys within 24 hours. And let me check here some more Giving Challenge related. So this question came in from Barbara, and it says, you guys mentioned a few statistics. Are there any, stats available online to view for future reference?
Yeah, so if we're referring to the statistics on the Giving Challenge growth and effectiveness, we have a blog link, and maybe is that something I can share in the chat that everybody will see? Maybe that's an easy way to do that.
Yeah, you can chat it out to the audience for sure.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna put the link to this right now. Can I do that? Send to, I don't. I'll figure that out. Why don't we go to the next question while I figure out how to send a link to our blog article that has all of these statistics.
Sure, sounds good. The next question that came in is, where does the $10,000 prize come from?
The $10,000 prize is furnished by the Give3 Foundation. That's the organization that Liz and I represent. And the Give3 Foundation is a charitable foundation with a mission to increase philanthropy in Canada. And so we are one of the founding partners, along with CanadaHelps, of Giving Tuesday in Canada. And we do have a number of other programs, including some research into giving behaviors. And the Giving Challenge is one of our programs to help I both encourage more giving and identify ways that we can effectively motivate giving behavior.
Excellent. We had a question come in here, and I think I can answer that. So somebody's asking, will you send the link to the design assets? Yep, absolutely. In our webinar follow-up email, we will be including the toolkit in there. Let's see.
And Sandra, I pasted in the link to the information on Giving Challenge statistics, but I don't think I did it publicly, so I'll leave it to somebody who knows how this works better than I do.
No worries. I will grab that link and I will chat it to the whole audience in 1 second. All right, we'll move on to the next question. So this one comes in from Katie, and it's, are we able to create and distribute our own curated content to raise awareness and support?
Absolutely. In fact, we really, really encourage that. Feel free to grab logos or other assets and use them as you wish, but by all means, the more personalized and individual to your organization, your mission, and your message, the better.
Let's see, next question comes in from Mickey, and it's, ours is a charitable organization in the field of arts. Are we considered eligible for the Great Canadian Giving Challenge?
So any registered Canadian charity in good standing with the CRA is eligible for the Giving Challenge. It's that simple. Donations must be made through CanadaHelps. That's how we track the donations that were made. So any charity, you don't have to be signed up for CanadaHelps, although there's lots of resources, assets, and reasons why being actually signed up as a CanadaHelps client makes it easier for you, but it's not actually required. Any charity can receive a donation through CanadaHelps through givingchallenge.ca, and all of those donations qualify. So if your organization is a registered charity in good standing with the CRA, then yes, you qualify.
There's a bit of a follow-up question to that about, so they noticed that we did mention that the minimum donation is $3. How would you recommend that they go about communicating that to their donors, that it's actually $3 required, you know, rather than just their donors giving $1?
Well, I think what you'll find is that you're not, I mean, it depends on the organization perhaps, but I think it's unlikely that you need to worry too much about telling your donors that they need to do more than that. If you want to do a really low barrier minimum, you know, really minimal ask, which can be an effective way of using this kind of thing for donor acquisition, then I would suggest that you ask for a $3 donation or a $5 donation for that matter. If you want to put some, you know, some small print on minimum donation is $3, I mean, certainly that exists on the Giving Challenge landing page, that's fine. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I mean, we do know that asking for the right donation amount for the right donor, that's just the best practice in fundraising, and that holds true for the Giving Challenge as much as anything else. So I would say use whatever method you would normally use for identifying a donation amount shouldn't really be different for the Giving Challenge. The Giving Challenge is an extra incentive for people to make an additional donation, to donate now and not later, this kind of thing. It might be an opportunity to increase the value of donation, but really it's about getting that additional consideration. So if you want to do something absolutely minimal, then set an amount. Ask them for a very a small amount. Interestingly, we did a test, this is a few years ago now, with an organization that was looking to convert supporters into donors. And they specifically did a $5 ask for a matching campaign. So your $5 donation could be matched up to $5. And it was very effective at generating new donors from that, converting those supporters into donors. And also interestingly was that the average donation was $13. So just because you're asking for a small amount doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get only that amount. That said, if you ask for less than the donor might give, then you may be leaving money on the table. So think about what your objectives are, and I encourage you to do that for any campaign. The Giving Challenge is no different. And then work around those objectives, and that's really going to tell you what you should be asking for. So if it's donor acquisition, think about what that barrier is for your typical donor. If it's getting an additional gift from existing supporters, then build your campaign around that. And that's really where you're going to get the best benefit. But I don't think you have to worry too much about people to give you $1 and therefore one ballot. Remember that every dollar is a ballot, not every donation.
Great. Thanks so much, Woodrow. We had a question come in that says, are there any common or known mistakes that charities have made when trying to, raise donations during this period?
A few things that I've seen that I think are not super effective. I mean, one is just help us win $10,000 without any context is not the best approach. Help us win $10,000 can get attention, particularly from existing donors. It can increase the likelihood of someone giving you a donation, by adding that urgency. It might be good with some donor groups to increase the value of their donation because every dollar is a ballot. But you need to talk about what your benefit is, why give to you, and your mission and your impact are still why people will donate. So make sure you tell that story. What we would do with $10,000 is a great way to tie those two things together. The other thing is that your logo is not compelling, it's not inspiring, so lack of images or just using the logo as an image really suppresses results. So if you don't have the capacity to create your own assets, grab stuff off givingchallenge.ca and use it. And then finally, the other thing I would say is that you got to get that click path as minimal as possible. So the first click someone makes needs to drop them on a page where they can make a donation. And sending them to givingchallenge.ca to search for you, or sending them to your home page of your website where they have to click a donate button, all of those things are going to dramatically suppress your result. Think 50 to 75% for every click. So for every 100 people, you have 100 people who click once, you should expect no more than 25 of them to make the next click. So shorten that path, call to action, very clear, make sure that when they hit that button, they already have in mind that they're going to donate to help you win. And what they land on is a page that reinforces the story, contains the call to action, but they can make the donation right there.
Excellent. Thanks so much. We have a question here from Diana, and it's, you mentioned that we don't have to register to enter, right? So how do you keep track of ballot numbers that come in from our organization if donations only come in through our organization's page?
So as long as you're using a Canada Helps tool to collect these donations, your donations qualify. We use Canada Helps as the central source for this, which is why we're able to choose a random donation as the winner. So, so all you have to do is be a registered charity and have the donation come through Canada Helps. The Giving Challenge, the givingchallenge.ca custom donate pages that you can make use of are also powered by Canada Helps, just like the custom donate pages that you can set up from Canada Helps, just like the button that you can use on your own website. All of those Canada Helps tools all qualify, and what we do is we look at the total pool of donations coming from all these various sources through Canada Helps. So again, as long as you're a registered charity and Canada Helps processes the donation, it will get counted.
Thanks so much. We have a question here from Devin, and it says, in general, have you found one social media platform to be more effective in getting clicks to the donation page?
No, we haven't, but that doesn't mean that there isn't. It just means that we don't have good enough data to really be able to evaluate that. We know from some data around Giving Tuesday that Twitter last year, by some measure, seems to have dropped off as in terms of its effectiveness compared to Facebook. But I certainly couldn't say definitively that that's going to be true across the board, that it's true of Giving Challenge, or that would be true for any particular charity. So we don't really have the data to answer that question. But Twitter does seem to be a bit more challenging for some organizations than in terms of converting compared to Facebook lately. But they can still both be very effective channels. So unfortunately, we don't really have enough data on that.
We have a question here from Sophia, and it says, I'm running a peer-to-peer fundraising event in June. Will the donations made under this event qualify for entries?
So, I mean, the short answer is yes, peer-to-peer counts as long as it's using Canada Helps as the donation processing tool. So if you're using a Canada Helps peer-to-peer tool, yes, absolutely it counts.
Sorry, just reading the list of questions here. We had one come in from Beverly, and the question is, how can we get donations when many of our families are low income and their children's school is already subsidized?
Well, I think the key thing there is to target supporters based on what level you think they're going to be able to support you at. The effectiveness of the challenge is increasing the likelihood of your pool of available donors. So no different than any other time of the year. If you have a really challenging donor pool, then those challenges exist for this as much as anything else. The hope here and the effectiveness of the challenge is to encourage people to give now, because there's an extra value in the donation that they're making for you in the form of this chance to win big. So messages that are targeted to your audience, that speak to the benefit that you deliver on the ground, these things, this is just like any other fundraising opportunity, this is what's going to be effective messaging. The challenge is just an opportunity to increase the likelihood that they're going to act today.
All right, we have one here from Katie, and it says, do you have any advice for the challenge for a very small organization? For example, we've only got 4 staff and no one dedicated to fundraising.
Yeah, great question. So one of the things we learned from our survey earlier this year is that the vast majority of the organizations participating in the Giving Challenge and driving all of this growth and result are very small organizations, many of which have no staff at all, are all volunteer run, most of which have very, very small budgets. So this really is a great opportunity for small organizations. In fact, it's largely driven by small organizations. And it's easy to do. The fact is, a little bit of social media and email and picking up some assets from the givingchallenge.ca website are all you need in order to have a little bit of success in the month of June. So it's really, the barrier is very low. You don't need to do a really in-depth, involved, sophisticated campaign to make a difference for your small org.
All right, we have one here from Nadine, and it's similar to contacting local media during the campaign. What are your thoughts on reaching out to current sponsors of the organization for leverage? Yeah,
I think that's a fantastic idea. So whether it's for a matching gift where you can help their planned donation do even more work in the month of June, or if it's just talking to sponsors about, here's a chance to engage your staff or engage your customers. We have this opportunity. You can help us, and it's a great moment for you to engage those constituents of yours. That can be a really good way of you leveraging the challenge to bring, first of all, more benefit to your organization through that additional reach, but also benefit to those other organizations, those sponsors who are supporting you, because it's a reason to get out there and talk about their relationship with you, and that's how they benefit from that relationship. So they can do more good for you, they can engage their communities more, and all of this can result in more Giving Challenge result for your organization.
All right, we've got one here from Tanya, and it's, our challenge is that people drop off checks and cash for an online giving challenge, even though we message things pretty clearly. Any suggestions on how we can help with that?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I mean, converting donors to digital is particularly in some organizations, is challenging. All I can say is that this is an opportunity for you to just tell those donors, you know, if you make this donation online, here's an easy way to do it, then it qualifies us to win $10,000. One possibility, if you're actually talking about people in person dropping stuff off, is stick an iPad with your donation page at reception and tell people, here it is. We really appreciate your donation. We absolutely will accept your check. FYI, if you instead want to use this form, it qualifies, you know, your $100 donation would give us 100 chances to win $10,000. And you may find if you make it that easy, at least you have the person in your face that you might be able to get them to pull out their credit card and make that donation on that way. I would suggest that if that donor is not going to do it at that point, then they are never going to give to you online. And so maybe ask them if they'll share a link on their social media channel. Maybe that person has grandkids and friends on Facebook, and they're prepared to share a link, and you can help them to do that. But I would suggest just try to make it as easy as possible for them. Take the opportunity of that engagement to tell them that if they do it this way, that you could win $10,000. And again, I would use that, your thank you, we would love this $50. If you did it this way, that would be 50 chances for us to win $10,000. That might be a compelling call to action for that donor.
Great, thanks so much, Woodrow. We have a question here from Angela. Is the winner of the $10,000 based on the most donations received, or is it a random draw?
That's a good question. Thanks for asking that. Yes, it is a random draw. So obviously, the more dollars you raise over the month of June, the more chance to win. But it's not the most dollars that wins. And in fact, in no year has it been the biggest fundraising organization has won. But it's just a random selection from all of the dollars that were donated.
All right, we have a question here from Caitlin. Do you have any recommendations for organizations that focus on systemic problems, for example, racism, ending violence against women, and do not have a concrete give, like sending a child to camp or feeding a puppy for a year?
Yeah, I mean, this is a classic fundraising challenge, right? When you're working against those systemic problems, is that the problem doesn't sell, right? It's solutions that sell, and it can be challenging to identify that thing that you can accomplish. The giving challenge is no different. I mean, those challenges for organizations like that are those are fundraising challenges. I think if there's anything you can do at all to quantify your mission, that really helps to tell that impact story. You think about it in terms of, we are here to do a certain good, and we have some measures of success. So those measures of success is what we have to get our donors excited about, whether it's the giving challenge or something else. And then talk about what that success means. So if you're tackling a systemic problem, helping somebody, talk about the recipients of that help and what it has accomplished for them. The more you can quantify that, the better. We can do this much for these people with $10,000. That's great. It's not strictly necessary if it's really, really hard for you to nail it down to X number of people in back of the workforce or something like that. Then I would encourage you still to talk about the joyous celebration of what success looks like, and be a little less quantifiable if you have to, but focus on that success.
All right, we're just hitting 3 o'clock now, but we do have a couple more questions if you guys are okay to answer.
I'm good to go.
All right, so this one we've seen come in from a few people, and we have been replying, but we figured we'd just address this out loud for everyone to hear. So Sharon asks, are regular monthly donations that are set up already on CanadaHelps qualifying towards the challenge?
Are you going to take that one, Sandra?
Yeah, sure. So absolutely, they are. We've been replying to everybody, but figured we'd just share that one out loud so everybody can hear it. Let's see, we had another question come in here from Debbie, and it's, in regards to charitable receipts, who provides them to the donors?
So, Sandra, you'll correct me if I'm wrong on this, but just like any other donation through CanadaHelps, receipts are automatically created and emailed out by CanadaHelps, regardless of the method you're using. Again, as long as it's through CanadaHelps one way or another, including on givingchallenge.ca, then it qualifies, and a donation receipt is automatically emailed to the donor from CanadaHelps.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that. We have a couple more questions here. I'm just reading through. So Jeff asks, will all of the CanadaHelps.org donation platforms, for example, if we have on our website, we have a customized giving challenge page, will both contribute to the overall amount that qualifies for the $10,000 prize?
Absolutely. Again, any tool, any Canada Helps product, any means of donating through Canada Helps will qualify. I think the only exception is donation of securities.
All right, so I'm just going to wrap things up here. We are past the hour. Thank you so much, Liz and Woodrow, again, for presenting this fantastic webinar. Gave us some really great examples here to work with and learn from. And thank you, everyone, for participating in the question and answer period. And thank you for attending our webinar, of course. And if you have any additional questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.